I should be coming up. Alrighty. I don't know what happened, but we lost YouTube. Looks like I'm back again. It's taking me a few minutes to get it started back up, though. So we'll try it again on part 2. Let everybody start coming back in again. Yep, one more time, Dave. See what happens. It's going to be a deja vu. Alrighty. I like it when I have to shut every doggone thing down and then come back up again.
Mm-hmm.
At least you didn't have to restart your whole computer.
Yeah.
So, Jason, what are you working on tonight?
Um,
Besides looking at us. I know we're irresistible, but still.
I just got home not so long ago.
Oh, okay.
Picked up my dinner and came down here. Probably going to be getting online here and looking for adapters for my new little toy that Johnny didn't know about yet.
Okay. Well, just don't tell me.
I got a new air. I got a air compressor now for airbrushing.
Yeah.
Is that what it's for?
Yeah.
Yeah, deja vu. CV.
What was the answer to my question? I lost contact. Okay.
Oh.
If you do your feeders every 3 feet or every second piece of flex track, if that's what you're using, and do it at the joints, you should be good.
Yeah.
And the reason like that distance works for me is my first Broadway locomotive that I got was a Mikado, and using one of the function keys, I can drive it around the layout and push the function key as it goes along, and it'll tell me numbers 1 through 10. And if it's a 10, that meant the power was perfect at that part of the track. And if it was lower than that, it meant that your power was, your feeders were too far away. And at that point, I had them every 8 feet. And by the time it got to the midpoint, it went from 10 down to 5. And the sound started to become intermittent. But as soon as it got back into the 3-foot range of the wires, it picked right up. And I mean, it didn't slow down, but it did make a difference. It doesn't hurt to put every 3 feet, every 4 feet. It just happens that flex track is 3 feet. That's if you're doing HO.
Yeah. Also, real quick, Terry, No, you didn't do nothing wrong. We're just, it's YouTube. They're having problems. Bill up in New York just said that
It's his fault.
New York is on the fritz. They're reporting outages all over New York City.
Blame it on Bill.
Yeah. Sparky came in. How you doing, Sparky? And Big Bill said, Ralph has inspired me to buy some paint and try my hand at spray painting.
Oh, yeah, we talked about it yesterday.
And let's see, Dan Cohen said, I'm terrible at measuring. Yeah, a lot of us are. Can anyone help me understand what dot 100 is for cutting a dot 020 styrene sheet? The directions just said dot 020 by dot 100. Well, dot 020 is 20 thousandths and dot 100 is 100 thousandths, which is shy of 1/8. Because dot 062 is 1/16. If that helps you out.
It's in thousandths, right?
Yeah.
Get out your calipers, and your calipers will tell you what the thousandths are, and you can also push the button and make it read in inches if you have the digital calipers. That's if you want to.
No, I hadn't seen Heath yet, Al.
There's Sparky. Abacus needed for this show tonight.
Yeah.
There's one in every crowd.
Yeah,
We need a slide rule, is what we need.
yeah, he wants to see how many people going to run to the dictionary. What's an abacus?
What's Bill saying? You guys this Saturday are installing a nuclear reactor into an N-scale engine. That should be exciting.
That's what he's saying.
Actually, that was last weekend.
That's what he said last night on the show. I kind of sort of knew how to use an abacus, but that was a long, long time ago.
Yeah, we all got those lessons at the beginning, and then you very quickly forgot them, like the rest of us.
Yeah, Michael Conley. You can bring the nuclear waste to a dump, a new industry spur, lots of cars.
Right. And you don't have to light that corner of the layout.
Yeah, no, it's self-lighting.
It'll glow on its own.
Andy just come in. He said, about time we did some dead rail stuff. Might be easier to wear a lead suit in the train room instead of wiring the layout.
Mm. Especially with a bad back.
Yeah.
Unless you do modules like Miles did when he was doing the Toma thing for Joe Fugate, where you can flip it on a rotisserie.
Yeah.
So you do the wiring straight up and then flip it back over again.
Yeah, Dwight said a friend of his went to Russia. Said the waiter at a restaurant could add faster on the abacus than his friend could on the calculator.
So I want to know, what's he trying to tell us?
Oh yeah, I didn't think I saw something about that. Be in Eagle River subdivision. Want to know anybody going to be watching the live Springfield show this weekend?
If I can, I will.
I'll probably hop on early, watch a little bit of it, and then
I'm
head
looking
out
forward
to
it.
work.
Bill said he used to count on his fingers and toes until he got to 21. It got to be a problem.
What did Sparky say, Ralph? I'm curious.
What got you?
Got you into weathering when you, and do you think all models should be? Okay, first question. The reason I got into weathering is because I used to subscribe to magazines like Craftsman and Model Railroader and Mainline. But Mainline, the picture on the front of that was always a prototype, which was usually nicely weathered. But when you looked at Model Railroader had all those buildings. They do street scenes and so on the front cover, and they would have been weathered to some degree, and then they ran these toy-like trains across the tracks, and that used to bug the ass off me because it didn't look right. So I set out to try and change that, and the rest is history. So now, should everything be weathered? That's totally up to the person that owns the model. If it's my railroad, it's all going to be weathered. Even my rock work is weathered. The scenery, the buildings, everything will be weathered. one technique or another, it'll get there. We joke about me not liking pan pastels. I don't use my pan pastels to do rolling stock or locomotives, but they're great for doing scenery, buildings, or structures. So they have their uses, they have their places, in my opinion. Other than that, even when I do dioramas, like I'm working on one right now, which is my barn find. Just let me put these things away so they don't fall off, and I'll show you.
Yeah, Bill said weathering hides all of his mistakes.
It does. It does. Especially when you're putting buildings together and you get the glue that sort of seeps out through the seam. I mean, there are still people that use the glue in tubes. I use the liquid cement when I put things together, but weathering, whether it's using the Woodland Scenics vine type things, you put it over the corners and it hides all your errors. So it works. It's to your benefit, weathering.
Yeah, Ken Amos said, don't mind weathering, but don't like graffiti.
I'm the same way. I don't like graffiti either. Of everything I've done, I've been weathering now for 12 years. Of everything I've done, I've only put graffiti on one car. And it was only with a black Sharpie, exactly the way it was done on the prototype. Just black lines, nothing else, no colors. That's the only graffiti I've ever done. So there's my barn find. That's what I'm working on.
Yeah, it's coming along real nice.
So it's a car found in the barn underneath the tarpaulin. I finished off the doors on the side with the pad. I don't know whether you can see the padlock.
Yeah.
But the walls, the wood, it's a new technique I tried, and I fell in love with it. Using wax paper and Vaseline. It's amazing when you finally get it to work for you.
Should we even ask how to get it to work?
Anything, and when I do weathering, anything that's new that actually goes on the layout goes by the car shop, and I can say it just came out of the paint booth.
Carolina Foothill said, that's awesome, Ralph.
It's 1/24 scale. I go back and forth. I do my weathering with the train stuff, and every once in a while I have to sort of go somewhere else, just for a break, and then back to it again. So I've got a whole bunch of stuff that goes on this thing.
Yeah. Chris Reed's in. Hadn't seen him in a while. He said Ralph has a little bit of an echo. Well, Chris, if you want to stop the echo, put one of the earplugs back in. Well, he hadn't been around for a while. Had to get one in.
Let me reboot. Do I still have the echo now?
I never heard it.
I never heard it either. But then if I'm the one that has it,
I don't hear it.
no. Okay, Chris Rude. Is it there? Sparky says no echo. If Sparky says no echo, then there's no echo.
Yeah.
Oh, so we're gonna take Sparky's word at it, huh?
No, there's no echo.
The heck's Chris been up to? He ain't been in it for a long time.
Yeah.
Just talking to Bill yesterday afternoon. Just wait till you see when he gets this thing done. Big surprise for you guys.
Yeah.
Chris says work and more work. No time for socializing, eh? Okay.
In other words, he's a workaholic like Andy.
Yeah, Andy was in here a bit ago, but looks like he's got busy again at work.
Yeah. Or he's on the road.
Reboot. My boots are downstairs. Cool. Ari says it's a little vibrato. Nobody's got anything else to ask? Come on, guys.
Hey, come on, we got a show coming up tomorrow night or Saturday night about weathering.
As in, what is this question?
Randall Ellis says, honestly, I don't weather my equipment. This may sound kind of cheesy, but the locomotives I have with those incredible paint schemes, I just don't have the heart to dirty them up. You mean you're afraid to dirty them up? Afraid to make a mistake and then all that money you put into it's going to go out the window. I was like that when I started, but not anymore. The more you practice, the better you get. The better you get, the more confidence you build, and you're ready to tackle anything. Oh, Andy Crawford says yes. Not a workaholic. Just got to get while the getting's good or happening. And yes, spotty service on the road. Then stay in one spot. It's that simple. It's only an hour.
Oh, there's a good one. Be in Eagle River. What is the best way to remove fingerprints from plastic caused by glue? Well, one, don't get the glue on the fingers.
Well, what kind of glue? The liquid glue, and it managed to seep underneath your finger. You could put some more glue on it and try and smooth it over, and then sand it a bit. But the fingerprints already damaged the paint job, so you do a patch.
Yeah, or in the case of John, when he did a building, and boy, did he have the fingerprints all over it. I just weathered the heck out of it. They got rid of most of them.
Depends on how bad it is. Some light sand. I mean, the paint job's already ruined, so some light sanding might get rid of it.
Yeah.
Is it deep?
Kevin goes weather by paintbrush or by airbrush or both.
All my weathering is done with paintbrush or weathering pencils. The airbrush I use to apply clear coats, whether they're matte finish, semi-gloss finish, or gloss finish. That's the only time I use the airbrush. Ralph, what did you practice on? Weather can never be wrong, yet we all have the picture of perfection. That's true. So, first off, you find yourself a prototype photograph. And then once we get back into the no more COVID-19 and you start going to train shows again and you go to these flea markets and whatever, buy up all the cheap blue boxes that you get for $2-3 a car or more. Even if it's just a shell, use that to practice on. You can't make mistakes. You can overdo it if you try and work from what you think in your mind it should be. Chances are 99% you're going to overdo it. But if you use a prototype photograph and try and work to that, that'll keep you on track. Oh, Chris Rood finally got his airbrushes from the 56th birthday celebration.
Yeah.
They had it all screwed up. Badger had it all screwed up.
Yeah, that was last year.
Yep. And there was some talk that there might be something again this year. They're not quite sure. It was all to do with shipping that makes it questionable, but they said they're going to be doing something. I got my 3 brushes, so I'm happy.
Well, I ordered a rotary tool October 23rd last year, and I just got it Monday. Ordered it from
When did you order it?
October.
3 months ago?
Yeah, October 23rd.
Wow.
Yeah, from a company up there in British Columbia. Well, the problem is the rotary tool's made in Thailand, and they've had all kinds of problems. The country shut down because it went broke. Manufacturers shut down to protest, and COVID and all that. Is just one thing after another. But it finally came in Monday. I don't understand why, but they actually, when they shipped it from Thailand, it came into New Jersey.
Well, that sounds like when Bill shipped me his locomotive for repairs. Bill's on Staten Island in New York. It went all the way to California somewhere, and then crossed the border of BC and came to me.
Yeah.
And Brian, New Jersey Brian, sent me some 3D printed stuff. He's in New Jersey.
Yeah.
And I had it from him within 3 days. But Bill, it took, I think it was 4 weeks.
Yeah. Well, it was explained to me that since a lot of stuff comes in container ships and all, that it's easier and cheaper to ship it, towards the west and let it come around. That way it comes in on the East Coast side. And then it went from New Jersey over to British Columbia. And then that company would send it out to its customers. But since everybody had been waiting so long, they, when it got to New Jersey and cleared customs, they had, people there that would ship it straight from there to the customers, all the back
Right.
orders. So that way we get them a little quicker. Then have it go back to British Columbia, then from British Columbia back over again. That'll be 3 customs it's gone through if it went that way.
Yep. So Randall Ellis, what is the motive power on your layout and what road name? I'm assuming that you have BNSF. I'm looking at side by side with Frisco locomotives. So you're running BNSF and Frisco? What do you recommend for powders and materials for beginners to weather rolling stock? Okay. CV Railroad in HO scale. You can't buy AIM powders anymore. They come like this, but they're now under the name Monroe powders. Also, Bragdon powders come like this. They are true paint pigment, and they come in, I believe it's 12 or 17 colors, all related to earth tones, black. There is a white, but it's more on the gray side. All the earth tones, and that's what I use for my weathering powders. But I don't use all weathering powders to do my weathering. Some people like to use weathering powders. I know some people that use pan pastels for weathering their rail cars and so on. And then they turn around and tell me, but I don't seal them afterwards. Well, if you handle your products after you finish, like your cars and so on afterwards, at some point you're going to put fingerprints in those powders, and every time you do it, you're taking some off on your fingers. You may not see it right away. So to seal it, all it takes is a very light coat of dull coat, and it's done. And you never have to worry about that. You don't have to worry about the oils on your fingers transferring onto the powders and picking it off. I always seal. Doesn't matter what I use, even when using the pan pastels. Now, the difference between pan pastels and these powders are true paint pigment. Pan pastels are crushed up chalk, pastel chalks. So, which do you want? Real paint to do the job, or do you want powders to do, like chalk powder to do it? And when you use an airbrush over the pan pastels, the pressure of the air blows some of the chalk off the model. And then you have to go back and redo it. And if you realize that it's going to blow off, then sometimes people overdo it, knowing that the airbrush is going to blow it off, or the spray can is going to blow it off. But by doing that, you can't guarantee that the right amount is going to remain. So Randy says, yep, most of the time they spend running in the club layout. So if you don't weather your stuff and you put it on the club layout, does the other members of the club weather? Your layout's 4x8, far too small to run very, where's it going? are too small to run very respectable trains. Well, that's debatable. Who's the clean-shaven guy? Yeah, I was going to ask that too. We have a stranger in the chat tonight.
Yeah. I figured I just popped in. Not much time left, but I just made it home. So.
My homeland is 2 ovals, 6 axes.
Looks about 20 years younger.
Yeah, I'm tired of looking 70 years old.
Got a baby face now.
Yeah, I prefer it.
Somebody go get him his binky.
Yeah, I'll get tired of shaving before long.
Oh. Oh, you guys! I know Ralph seen the post the other day I made on the Facebook page, but Walthers is doing the National Model Railroad Build-Off Challenge again this year.
So I have a question for you. When you saw that, did you read the rules this time, or
Yes.
haven't you got there yet? Are models from north of the border acceptable or not?
All 50 states is what it says.
So it doesn't say anything about Canada, which
No,
sucks.
just national. Yeah, it's just national. I don't understand that.
There's like 3 states that can't compete in 3 of the categories, but they can compete in the open category.
Yeah, okay.
State laws
That's weird.
probably.
That's
Sure.
weird. Why state laws? It's all virtual anyway.
Yeah, but if you live in a state, you are governed by those state laws, and in some cases, they consider some of those competitive competitions a form of gambling.
Yeah.
Calls them
Colorado,
gambling
Maryland,
laws.
and North Dakota.
Yeah, all right. That's it.
What was the last one? North Dakota?
Yep.
Interesting. North Dakota has gambling casinos.
Yeah, but they fall under. You've got to have a gaming license to participate. I would imagine Walters probably doesn't want to go through that process.
So you're telling me then those states don't have lotteries and so on that you can buy tickets to?
Lottery state government. That's government based, and it's not considered gambling. That's how they get away with it.
But it is.
No, without a question. I don't disagree at all.
Okay.
Just like here in Georgia, the
Okay.
company I work for, we're a branch of a company that's home based in Texas. Their lawyer came in one time, told us we had to follow Texas law. One of the guys looked it up and come to find out, no, Georgia doesn't recognize an outside state. They had to follow Georgia's law as far as the company went, that branch.
Well, I mean, we have the same situation. We used to have several locations. We just have one now. But we used to have several locations. You have to follow laws even down to the county, and even now we have different occupational tax zones in the city versus the neighboring city versus the county. And if our guys work 4 hours here and 4 hours here and 8 hours there, their paycheck and our tax rates are different for those particular hours. It's stupid complicated, but that's all that the regional law stuff. The lottery thing is beyond acceptable in my opinion. That I'm adamantly opposed. I'm totally for gambling if you want to gamble. I don't like to gamble, but I'm totally for gambling if you want to gamble. But the lottery has been devastating economically.
Albert Mason, Ralph said that you could use his address.
That's one way to go about it. They should do that, but you've
Should.
got a lot of that, you know. You've got the National Model Railroad
Just don't-
Association, who is largely being, U.S. focused.
Just don't get caught.
Yeah, right.
Dan Cohen said, how about an underground MRL build-off?
I don't think we care. We're smart enough to not worry about where you're at, where you're from.
So we tried having people send pictures from their layout in so we can put them as the banner of our Facebook page. Only one guy did. Actually, two. Bill was the other one. So I don't know what to do. We mentioned it a few times before Christmas. Your picture would be on the banner for the month until we pick another one. But I would like to see that go forward, but it doesn't seem like too many people are interested.
All right, you guys heard that, so start taking pictures, send them in. I know Dwight's got some. I'm sure Michael could get up a couple of them too. And Ari.
I would say this year they kind of changed the rules a little bit up on that Model Railroad build-off. It's a little more open on the rules, open-ended on some of the rules on what they're doing. So
Yeah, but I can't compete, so I'm not interested.
yeah, no. I wouldn't see why they couldn't include Canada and Mexico. I mean, you guys are connected to us, you know.
No kidding.
You know, I could see like maybe Australia, not including Australia or Europe or anything like that, but
I would hazard to guess that at least 40% of their business comes to Canada.
it's got to do something with international law. They just don't want to deal with it.
Yeah, it would have to have something to do with winnings being associated with it.
Mm-hmm.
Well, some of them are saying
Model Railroader does it all the time. They have their sweepstakes that anybody, as long as you subscribe to the magazine, can enter the sweepstakes.
well,
Yeah,
got-
that's a random drawing, and they can say that you don't have to be a subscriber to enter to get around the requirement, and it's basically just a random drawing. Whereas if you have a competition, there are different
Now-
rules that govern that.
Don't go making excuses for them.
I don't agree with it. I think they should get around it. I think they, or not get around it. I think they should do their due diligence in order to meet the requirements to allow at least all North American, at least, if not anybody, anywhere. But
That's like and this since we're on this line of thing, IPMS, International Plastic Modeler Society, which I'm a member of. The word international is in the title of it, but nobody outside of the States can hold any office on the board of directors.
That is weird.
yeah, which the NMRA, I mean, by their title and the definition is a bit more understandable why they're U.S. centric. I don't like that they are U.S. centric. I think they too should be much more international. In this age of internet, and so many of us model and purchase products from vendors via the internet. I mean, even more so in the in the age of COVID, but that's been true for the last decade or two, that we've largely been internet.
Mhm.
Internet's been a big component of most of our hobby participation. So I think it's a poor excuse to try
Speaking
to
of-
limit it.
Speaking of the NMRA, I read, and I don't know whether they're going to follow through on it, all of the videos and clinics and layout tours that were done through NMRA X, which were all free to anybody who wanted to watch them. The NMRA, because it has the name in the topic line, wants to put them behind a paywall. So you have to be a member to view them. If that happens, there's going to be a revolt, I'm sure.
Oh, I assure you. I mean, I've done an NMRA X clinic, as you have, Ralph, as a lot of us have. It being
Done
open
thoroughly.
is an important part. Yeah, it being open is an important part of it. I think it's a way to encourage people to connect with other NMRA members. I think it's a great opportunity to connect with people. But if you put it behind a paywall, you've reduced the viewership so significantly. And NMRA's argument has been forever that their members don't care about the internet, about this fad of the internet. If their members don't care about this fad that is the internet, then why put things that are on the internet behind a paywall so their members who don't care about the internet, who won't go look at them, but all the non-members who do realize the internet's not a fad, lose access to them?
All right, real quick.
What are you laughing
Yeah, no, we won't talk about that right now.
at? Okay.
I'll need to talk to Tim after the show. Let's see. Who was it? Mystic Southern Railroad. Yeah, there it is. All right, he's not on Facebook, but for those guys that say they don't have scenery and stuff like that, take a picture of a locomotive. If you got a building built, stick it in behind the locomotive, kind of make it a close-up, and that should work just fine. But as far as not being on Facebook, we do have a email address you can send the pictures to. All you got to do is take our first name dot modelrailroadinglive.com.
Or first name at modelrailroadinglive.com.
Oh, first name at. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, Ralph. Send them directly to Ralph at modelrailroadinglive.com, or to me, or to any of us. We'll work it out. Ralph's in charge of it, but
I am?
Ralph will be perfect.
You are now.
You can send it to any of us, and we'll work it out. If you don't have Facebook. Also, if you don't have Facebook, you can read our Facebook public thread. You won't be able to comment on it, but you can read it on our website at www.modelrailroadinglive.com. I have put up a read-only way for people to keep up with the conversations and posts and awesome links like the Badger airbrush sale when Ralph posted that. You can keep up with that stuff even if you're not a Facebook subscriber or member, whatever.
Right.
Well, I'll tell you what, we've kind of run over. Of course, we did have a little interruption there with the internet for a change. It wasn't on my end. I guess it was just YouTube having blackouts. And our stream got cut off. So, Dave BNSF said, good of you to volunteer like that, Ralph.
Usually you get volunteered when you're not here, but he did it right here on air.
I really thought Ralph was handling it, so I backtracked to say any of us were handling it. But I really thought Ralph was spearheading that project. Ralph's definitely evangelized for that project within us. So
Oh, another idea. You can do like Ralph and them. You can take your locomotive, couple of cars and track, go outside, put it on table, shoot a picture that way. If you got woods or whatever in the distance for a background.
or if you have cool construction projects, I know a lot of us. I love to see, your interesting construction projects of open helixes and interesting. Take pictures of it, submit them, and
Did you hear that, Sparky?
Scratch builds, whatever you're working on.
Some of the favorite layouts I've ever visited were on the LDC tour, on the layout design special interest group tour that showed open, a lot of open road beds, flying road bed, and you got to see a lot of the construction methodology and process. I enjoy a lot of those pictures.
Alrighty. We're going to wrap this one up. So, y'all have a good weekend. Oh, yep, this Saturday is going to be Railroad Empires, how they build them. And then,
We're debating weathering or discussing whether to weather or not is a
Whether to
roundtable
weather.
discussion. So part of the discussion that I got to hear while I was still on the road on the way back, we'll carry on with that and have a bit of a roundtable discussion about it.
all right. And February the 6th is going to be another Empire show. I think Bill's got something in the works for February the 3rd. I have failed to put it on the calendar as of yet, so he will definitely be letting me know that. But anyway, y'all have a good weekend. Don't forget all shows are at 9 o'clock Eastern time. Adjust your clocks for the Eastern Standard Time. We shall see y'all. Have a good Friday. Have a good one.